Welcome. Welcome to the In His Voice podcast, hosted by me, Rob L. Lowe, where we talk about everything that affects the lives of boys and men without ever bashing women. We talk about everything from the bedroom to the boardroom, from the playground to the stadium, and everything in between. And today I got a super dope guest. I've been trying to do this podcast now for probably 4 months. He's always been available. My schedule didn't make it happen. But I drove to Miami, me and Robin. And Robin and Deb are producing the podcast behind the scenes. But my guest today is none other than has to be one of the coolest brothers I know, a fashionista, a cigar aficionado who taught me everything that I know. And when we talk about game on this cigar, fashion, and how to pair it, there's no other than my brother, Michael Brown, a.k.a. the Hat Ambassador. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Most definitely.
Yeah.
It's a big pleasure to be on the show, man. I mean, I know we've been trying to make this happen for a minute, but man, I'm glad we got to do it, man.
Well, bro, this show is all about you. This is all about you. So, man, there's so many questions I gotta ask. I gotta pace myself because everything, bro, from cigar aficionado, drinking expert, pairing, hat guru, fashion nova, fashionista, dude. Like I don't even know where to begin. We just got to start off. Let's just go back, man. Okay, bro, where are you from? I know where you're from.
Born and raised Indianapolis, Indiana. I now reside in Miami Beach, Florida, and
let's be honest. You live on Miami Beach. People say that like there's yachts below us, right below, right?
Yeah, I'm right on the intercoastal, looking out on the Atlantic Ocean, right here in North Beach, Miami Beach, man.
So people can hear the wind in the background. So it's authentic, just so you know. But we shot the podcast this way so you can get a whole taste of the vibe. And Mike, you are the Hat Ambassador.
Yes, sir.
You are the guru of this thing. Mm-hmm. Man, you just got to tell me the journey, because even though you're a close friend of mine, I'm a fan.
Right.
Like, dude, I'm a fan.
I appreciate that.
So I'm gonna set back, and man, just walk us on. And I'll ask questions periodically.
Yeah,
but I need you to just walk us on this journey, man, of how you became the Hat Ambassador.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, one thing, it's nice to be out here on the balcony. I mean, for me, this is one of my favorite places to enjoy a nice cigar, enjoy a nice drink out here on the balcony. So it's a fitting setting for us to be out here to kind of go through the story and my journey. And so I'll kind of start with, for me, I became the Hat Ambassador because I started working for Gorham Bros Hat Company in 2017. And after I'd moved to Miami Beach in 2015, I used to go to Gorham Bros and get my hats. So that's where I was buying my hats at. I was a customer before I ever started working there, but I ended up working at the hat shop right on Lincoln Road in Miami Beach, and that's kind of what really got me into the hat game.
Okay.
So, of course, the love for hats, the love for the style and fashion of hats, especially being down here in Miami. Of course, coming from Indianapolis, this wasn't really my style.
Okay.
As I got to Miami Beach, I was able to kind of formulate my style. And the hat shop kind of brought that out for me, because the hat shop was a place I was able to work at, but I was also able to represent my own type of style while I was at work. So part of that for me was putting together a look and a style for myself that I would be able to wear with hats, that would be a compliment to the hat, that the hat would be able to complement my outfit and what I was wearing. So it was a great place for me to kind of find my style.
Okay.
So through that, and working there and becoming more ingrained into the hat culture and the hat game and finding my own style is where I created the Hat Ambassador. And so early on when I started working at Gorham Bros, after I moved to Miami, I also started going to cigar events.
Hold on. I do this so much.
Okay.
All right. So you're at Gorham Brothers.
Yeah.
Did you already have a love for hat before you started working there?
To a degree. Before I had moved from Indianapolis to Miami, I remember having a conversation with my wife, Deb, and I told her that I wanted to start getting into hats.
Okay.
And I wanted to kind of start, I kind of said, this would be something I kind of add to my repertoire, and I'll start wearing hats. I started out wearing ivy caps or, kind of like golf caps.
Okay.
And started wearing that style. So that was kind of my initial break into starting to wear hats.
Okay.
It wasn't until I got to Miami that all changed for me. I kind of started seeing the style down here was more short brim fedoras, and more people were wearing fedoras.
Okay.
For fashion, and also because, of course, it's sunny in Florida. So you need a nice brim on your hat to keep the sun off your head, So I started noticing, different from, of course, Indiana, that the Miami style was more fedoras. Hence, I started wearing fedoras, which then led me to start working at Gorham Bros, which, of course, Gorham Bros is a hat company that started originally in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, back in 1895.
Plug to Gorham Bros. Y'all need to go on, hook my man up for that plug. And I'm looking for sponsors, just so you know. All right, go ahead. Finish the story.
So, for a hat company that's been around a long time, that was one of the kind of things that drew me to them.
Okay.
Was their hats, the hats that they had, both fedoras, all type of different styles of hats, and it kind of drew me in. So working there really allowed my hat game to flourish. And so I just kind of, went with that, and Hat Ambassador came from that. What I wanted to do was, I said, initially started going to cigar events, and I started to see the correlation between the cigar culture and the hat culture, because a lot of people who were going to cigar events were also wearing hats. And so I kind of put that together for myself as, like, really at the time being in the hat business, this for me was like an opportunity to really kind of start getting to know people, people starting to get to know me for wearing hats and seeing me at the events always wearing hats. And of course, I was always promoting Gorham, who I was working for.
Okay.
And so I started getting known in the cigar culture. It's always kind of, having a style about myself and always wearing the hats, and that was the key. So for me, becoming the Hat Ambassador was something that I wanted to do to be be not like an influencer, but be someone who could bring awareness to hat culture. Really kind of show people what a hat looks like today, what a hat looks like from a more mature gentleman, you know what I'm saying, an actual gentleman, and kind of what that looks like. Someone who represents the hat culture, but also is in with the cigar culture as well. And so along with the Hat Ambassador, I felt like I said, I wanted to be a beacon for people to kind of see how you could wear a hat, how you could style a hat. But like I said, really kind of crossing both of the cultures, the hat and the cigar culture, is where the name from my brand came, Hats and Cigars.
Now, hold on. Were you a cigar connoisseur before you came here and really got into the hat culture? Or did one happen before the other?
Yeah, I initially started getting into cigars early 2000s, maybe around 2005.
Yeah.
Or so. I worked at a tobacco shop in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And that was where I first had my first contact with cigars and got into cigars. It was funny because no one at the tobacco shop knew anything about cigars. But we had an extensive collection of cigars, and a lot of people would come to the tobacco shop to get cigars, but nobody knew about them. So my manager came to me one day, and she asked me if I'd be willing to take over the cigars. Okay. And so I was more than willing to do so. It was something that I was interested in, but really didn't know much about, and I wanted to learn more about it. And really for the customer to be able to talk to the customer about the cigars, be able to suggest cigars to people, and really kind of know, what we actually had in inventory. So that was my first kind of brush with cigars. And so periodically through the years, I had occasionally smoked cigars, but it wasn't until I got to Miami that I really jumped all the way in to cigars, because I knew once I moved here, Miami being such a hotbed for cigar culture and for cigars, I knew it'd be the perfect place for me to really get into the cigar game. So that kind of went hand in hand. Around the same time I was getting into the hat game and working at Gorin. I was going to the cigar events and learning a lot about cigars and kind of being recognized in both the cigar culture and the hat culture. And so really both of those, really they were the seeds were planted before I ever moved to Miami, but definitely once I got here, they both were able to flourish for sure.
All right, okay. So we started off with Gorin Brothers.
Right.
You already smoked. You already knew a little bit about cigars because you worked in a tobacco shop. You were kind of the connoisseur there.
Right.
You ran the humidor. It sounds like. Mm-hmm. How'd you pick Miami?
Well, so Miami for me was a place I always used to vacation at. So I always used to come down to Miami vacation.
Okay.
It was kind of my spot that I went to anytime I went on vacation. So I fell in love with Miami, and so that's kind of what brought me here. When the opportunity for me came to move from Indianapolis, there wasn't any other place I would go but Miami. And so
wow. Okay.
So yeah, when the opportunity came to move, I jumped right on it and came down, man.
And you came here when?
2015.
You and Dad came here in 2015.
Yeah.
And driving over today, this is a sidebar. Every time I come here, I say the same thing. I can't believe this dude wakes up to this view every day. Yeah. All right, I digress. We're gonna talk about the book.
Of course, yeah.
But dude, like I literally consider you someone who is well versed in hats, cigars, and pairings. We'll leave it down. We'll shut it up. And pairings, hats, cigars, and pairings. Mm-hmm. Which of the three do you feel like you're most well versed in, or that you just really enjoy talking about?
Hats.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's, and I talk about it some in the book, but I mean, hats for me have become a part of me.
Okay.
Like, I don't think I would be the same person without the hat. I mean, the hat is kind of like,
it's your trademark.
Yeah, it's kind of like, the hair to Samson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like, it's my superpower. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I said it's now been a couple of years since I've worked for Gorin Bros. Unfortunately, the hat shop left the Miami market, and so there's no Gorin Bros shops in Miami anymore. But even after working for Gorin, I am still a major hat enthusiast. I mean, I'd probably say about 80 hats in my collection.
80?
And so,
bro, the average hat you own probably is a bill 50 or 200
at least. And
did y'all hear that?
But
I'm just saying.
But it's just like, I mean, it's part of me. I mean, I don't go anywhere without a hat. I'm always in a hat, whether it be, I mean, anything from a trucker cap to an ivy cap to an 8-panel newsboy hat to fedoras, whether it be a nice straw fedora, whether it be a wool fedora.
You the one who put me on game on hats, man. Right? I remember I wanted a hat, right, and I didn't want to pay a lot, and you was like, look, Keith James, that's good. He was like, look, your starter hat, go get you a Bruno Capella. Mm-hmm. Go get you a Bruno Capella red cap, and then you laced it. So all my stuff was not in. It's in my other hats. But we're going to talk about your entrepreneur spirit.
Okay.
Right? And then I'm going to come back because I got a bunch of – you're not getting off. I got a bunch, dude.
Right. All right.
Dude, you wrote a book. I want you to talk about that. Yeah. You did a tour with Davidoff.
Yeah.
And then you have your own line of hat accessories.
Yeah.
So walk me through all of those. How did they come about? What was your vision?
So, a lot of things happened for me when I was working at Gorin Bros at the hat shop.
Okay.
Naturally, like I said, I was working in the hat business. I was enthusiastic about hats. I loved hats. At the same time, I was going to cigar events and getting known in the cigar culture. I love cigars, and that's where the idea came about for the brand Hats and Cigars. I tell the story, both I speak about it in the book as well as you mentioned I was on tour with Davidoff Cigars, and then part of my presentation, I spoke about the story of how I was inspired to come up with the name Hats and Cigars and start that business. So a gentleman came into the hat shop one day.
Okay.
And he was looking to buy some hats. He also wanted some accessories to get his hat. So in hat culture, we call adding accessories like feathers and hat pins and stuff like that to your hat, we call that flaring.
Okay.
Your hat. So you flare out your hat. And so he wanted to come in, get a hat, flare out his hat. And while we were doing that, we were conversating, and he happened to mention to me that he owned a cigar lounge. And so we started talking about cigars. And he asked me, as we were looking at some accessories to flare his hat out with, he asked me if we made any cigar hat pins. And, you know, I'd never thought about it before then. I was like, no, yeah, we don't carry anything like that. So a few months later, I was going to a cigar yacht event here in Miami.
Okay.
And the same gentleman, coincidentally, I mentioned he owns a cigar lounge. He owns a cigar lounge in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
He owns 2 lounges. And so there was a cigar yacht party happening in Miami a few months after I had initially met him, and he was there. And so he recognized me, came up, started talking to me again. He said, man, do you have any cigar hat pins yet? And I was like, nah, man. I mean, we still don't carry anything like that. So the first thing I did that night after I got back from the yacht party was started looking up online cigar hat pins.
Okay.
And I was amazed to find nothing available on the market anywhere for cigar hat pins.
And this is back when?
This is in 2018.
Wow. 5 years ago.
Yeah. No one was making any cigar hat pins. So I said, that's it. That's what I'm going to do.
Whew.
Of course, being in the hat community, in the hat business already, I figured for me that was a way to create a brand. And since I was working with hats, it was the perfect business to come up with to go along with hats. I didn't want to be in the hat business. I was already working for somebody in the hat business. I didn't need to compete.
Yeah. Okay.
With the many hat makers that's out there. So I decided I would go with hat accessories, and specifically hat pins. And more specifically, hat pins that focused on cigar culture. Really for cigar aficionados and people in the cigar culture to have a way to represent their love for the cigar culture while they were wearing their hats.
Wow.
And so that's where the idea came up with the brand, Hats and Cigars, and I started making hat pins with my first hat pin was released in March of 2019.
So you designed it. I designed it. Because you're an artist too.
Correct. I've designed all the pins that we've released.
Wow.
And I'm very proud to say of all. I mean, normally the collection of pins I'll have available are average around 20 different type of pins. But over the years, it's been a lot more than that. There's been several versions of pins that have sold out, and I'll move on and start creating new designs and new pins for. So something I'm very proud about is in 2022, I released a line of pins that were focused on art, and they're called the Art Collection. And so it was something I had an idea about and I thought about for a while, but never found an artist that I felt like captured what I was wanting to do with the pen. So
yeah.
I happened to come across an artist and found her website, and I reached out to her through her website explaining what my idea was, what I wanted to do. And we were able to partner up and do a collaboration to where she specifically designed 4 designs for me. And then I created those designs that she came up with and created them and made them into hat pins.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have pins for men and women.
Correct, yeah. Most definitely. Some of my highest selling pins are the Sisters of the Leaf pins. And it seems like my sisters always support. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, as far as some of the pins I've designed, yeah, the Sisters of the Leaf pins have been some of the biggest selling ones.
So this is what I was saving for. Do you fly all the time? Whether it's hats, whether it's shoes, whether it's dope smoking blazers or just drip attire, chains, rings, but last but not least, glasses.
Yeah.
Whenever you walk in an event or a venue,
Mm-hmm.
what's the first thing? What's the most common thing people walk up and say to you, man? Because like your style is your style.
I always seem to get compliments on the hats.
Really?
I think because people are not used to seeing people in hats. And so I think when I wear hats, I stand out. I think it also goes with, it's funny because I'm into pairing, especially cigars with the spirits, but also in how I dress. It's a pairing with the hat and the blazer, or whether I'm getting really dressed up or I'm just wearing something casual. I always try to have my look put together.
Yeah.
And so I think that stands out. But always compliments on the hats, of course, and then the blazers as well. So, yeah, of anything, those are the things that kind of stand out to people. So I've just tried to complement that by adding a few accessories with the rings, the chain, and stuff like that to really kind of complement that and kind of bring out the persona, the hat ambassador, and really kind of let that shine and let people see that for what it is. And what that is a well-dressed gentleman,
Yeah.
who enjoys the love of cigars and appreciates dressing well and wearing a nice hat.
All right. So
always.
if I'm gonna bring this next subject up, if we can't talk about it, and I'll cut it out.
Yeah.
Your look is so dope that Hennessy flew you to France.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the commercial came out, but you got to tell that story.
Well, I kind of speak on it a little bit in the book.
Okay.
I don't go into detail and depth of course, dealing with a brand and a company like Hennessy, NDAs were signed, etc.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So, yeah, there's not much I can talk about, but like I said, I do discuss it in the book. But what I will say is, yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have opportunities come to me because of how I've looked. People have seen me and been interested in, the look catches their eye, and they're like, okay, I want to know more about this guy. Whether it be, like I said, Hennessy, whether it be Davidoff, whether it be, other podcasts, et cetera, stuff like that. I've gotten noticed and had opportunities come to me. A lot of that goes back to Gorin Bros and really kind of being here in Miami. I think Miami has been a place for me that really I've been able to flourish into other things really that before a few years ago I didn't have expertise in them.
Wow.
But once I kind of get into something, I go all in.
Okay.
And so when I got into hats, I went all in. When I got into cigars, I went all in. I went and got my certification as a cigar sommelier.
Wow. They have that?
Yeah. I got certified through a company called the International Association of Cigar Sommeliers. And
Dude,
so for me,
I never heard of that.
For me, that was a step in my journey to learn as much as I could about cigars. And so, and that was in 2019 as well. So after I got certified as a cigar sommelier, a lot of my time was spent trying to figure out, what could I do with the certification? Like, what would that really mean other than a piece of paper?
Yeah.
What could I do with it? Some people would look into going into retail cigar, whether it be at a cigar shop, a cigar lounge, something like that. And for me at the time, I was more in the hat business. So that wasn't really something of interest to me at the time. And so I didn't know what to do with it. So that's kind of where the initial thoughts of writing the book came, is that my sister, who is the founder and CEO of Enhanced DNA Publishing.
Shout out to Danola!
Shout out to Enhanced DNA Publishing. So Danola, my sister, came to me and asked me if I ever thought about writing a book.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you went to her. She came to
me.
Okay.
She came to me and asked me if that would be something I was interested in. And initially, I wasn't sure if that would be something that I could do. I didn't know if really I could pull that off.
What?
Yeah. I had some self-doubt there because
wow, dude.
I had never done anything like that or even thought about writing a book. Now, coincidentally, throughout my life, from a young child, I've always had the ability to write.
Yeah.
And write stories, write music, write songs. I did a lot of that, but I never have written a book. So I was kind of nervous about trying to do something that was totally foreign to me.
Okay.
But when I thought about, well, what can I do? Like, why would anybody want to listen to or read anything I had to say?
Okay.
And so that's where I kind of drew back on to what I had learned from getting certified as a cigar sommelier. Primarily the focus on that certification was with cigars and cigar pairings with spirits. And so that's kind of what I incorporated in the book. Not only in the book did I have a kind of a showcase of different hats and different type of hat styles, almost kind of like a beginner's guide into hats.
It was mine. It was a whole beginner's guide for me in the hats and cigars, dude.
Right. And so also I wanted to add in cigar pairings.
Wow.
And so that's kind of where I took what I learned from the certificate cigar certification was the cigar pairings. And so then I put cigar pairings in each chapter of the book to pair with a specific type of hat style.
Wow.
And so that's kind of where that all came from.
I got so many questions. All right, I'm telling you, this would be a 4-hour show if we keep going. Okay, so here's my question. Here's one question. I got so many. What's probably the dopest or most unique response you've ever got from somebody when they met you or when they saw you? Like, maybe they saw you on Instagram or on the internet, and then they saw you in person. Like, what's the most memorable experience or moment you've had?
Well, it's funny you ask that, because that is kind of it. Really, with the way social media is today and the kind of reach you have, with starting a brand and kind of getting known out there, as well as, like I said, I was kind of going around to different cities, different states, going to cigar events. But yeah, people would come up to me that recognize me on Instagram and be like, man, I follow you on Instagram, man. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
And so just really kind of being able to meet people that, you don't know, but are interested in you enough to come up and speak to you, let you know that, they follow you on Instagram, and also kind of have, that they're interested in. I mean, I have people all the time that contact me with hat advice. That I'm kind of like their go-to if they have a question about a hat or something like that, or flaring their hat or adding some accessories.
Yeah,
people reach out to me and stuff like that. So it's always nice to know that, like I said, initially going back to becoming the hat ambassador, that's exactly what I was trying to achieve, was to be that for people and to be an ambassador of hats. And so, the fact that people entrust me with, being able to give them advice about hats and stuff like that, man, that's kind of what it all boils down to. That's kind of what I wanted to do. Similar to, what I was doing on the Davidoff tour.
Yeah.
So Davidoff reached out to me after getting a copy of the book. One of the brand managers at Davidoff got a copy of my book and was able to read it and reached out to me and said, we'd like to do a series of events across the U.S. that kind of focus on you and the hats and cigars lifestyle. And so basically what I would do at these events, I would do a presentation where I would speak about myself, Gorham Bros, and also my brand, Hats and Cigars. But I would also do a one-on-one hat fitting and styling demonstration for everyone who came out to the events.
Wow.
So it was able to give me, give each person that attended the events, and it's kind of like I said, and anyone I've dealt with since I've kind of started working in the hat game, since I've started being in the cigar community, and also since I started my brand, is kind of being that person that people recognize when it comes to hats and want to know more about hats, how they can wear hats, how they can style hats.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people feel like hats are not for them. And so one thing I was able to do through the Davidoff tour, what I've been able to do throughout my years in the hat community, is be able to show people how they can wear hats. If you have that desire to wear hats, it's just a matter of finding that right hat for you.
I got to tell you, so two ways you've actually influenced me, and now it's influencing Robin. So one way is touching Robin, but two, I had a cigar like 5 years ago. A coworker gave me one that was too strong.
Right.
And I remember getting sick, and it felt like I was floating back to the whole. I think I was high as a kite off that cigar. And I was like, Mike, ain't no way, man. It tastes like cat piss. I was like, it felt like I ate a bunch of cat litter, man. He was like, then you had the wrong. And he's like, and you don't drink alcohol, so they gave you a strong cigar, and you drink it with soda, and it doesn't pair well. Mm-hmm. And I remember I'm not having another cigar. So then in 2021, I was like, man, I want to celebrate this job that I got. You was like, hey, let me tell you, give you some advice. Go find you a nice flavored cigar, try a Nub Cafe, try a Java or try a tobacco and get you a cappuccino. Man, I called you. I was like, dude, oh my God. Dude, you lit a fire. And then I remember like, Mike, I really want you to, pimp out my first hat. So you sent me some pins. Like, all right. I said, what do you like? He said, okay, no, I changed it up. So now I have these hats. I got like 6, 7 of them. I took ugly hats, dude. and that's why I don't have my stuff in this one. Because I bought an ugly hat that I didn't like, and I took your accessories and pimped it out so I could wear it. Because I already paid for it. I was like, look, I got to at least get 1 or 2. It's crazy because your accessories will pimp out an ugly hat, for whatever reason. But my point being, dude, I went and ordered Robin hats.
Right.
And I pimped them out for her.
Yeah.
So I got to get some Sisters of the Least stuff for her hat.
For sure, right.
But Robin, I ordered these custom-made hats for her, and I got me I was like, yo, this boy Mike, the truth. And you know this, whenever I go to a different city, whenever I go, I always ask the cigar bar, you heard about the hat ambassador? Like, no, let me show you who he is. Y'all need to holler at him. If nothing else, you need to have him come here and speak, have him come do a pairing, have him come work with your customers, or bring him in to do a guest appearance. I was like, he's that dude.
Right on.
And I even said this. I was like, one of my aspirations is hopefully my business and things take off where I'm able to open up my own cigar lounge. And I love your brand so much. Like, I mean this. I'm saying this publicly. My goal is to get to the point where I can open up a cigar lounge and have you as a silent partner or a partner.
Right.
But call it the Hat Ambassador Cigar Lounge with your logo.
Okay.
Like, because me trying to open up one by myself, I don't have a brand. There's a million cigar lounges. There's Corona in Florida and different ones.
Right.
But when you put that Hat Ambassador up there, that's a brand. People know that. And they trust it because they know you truly live this lifestyle. As opposed to someone just open it up and be like, is he really a cigar aficionado, right? Or is he just trying to take advantage and make money off the culture?
Exactly.
But when you put you up there, and you be like, yo, by the way, the Hat Ambassador will be at this location this weekend doing autographs, personal pairings. Come meet him. Oh my God, I'm gonna make money hand over fist. Like I mean, you too, because you're gonna be a partner. But look, ain't nobody gonna come to see me. I said if the shit don't work out, I'm getting the fans only page. I'm just telling y'all right now. But he could do one with the Hat Ambassador and make a ton of money. Everything that you have accomplished, what's your greatest one? What's the one thing you're most proud of?
Wow, that's a great question. Man. I would probably say the book.
Wow.
Like I said, because for me, it was something that I never aspired to do. And, it's like when you take on something new. For example, I know you're new into the entrepreneur game, starting that entrepreneur's journey.
And I ain't making no money, but that's okay.
And so I've been there as well, and I know what that's like. Same as with me, you recently released your book, as well.
We'll talk about that on another podcast.
Which I know that's been a journey,
yeah,
for you as well, and it was for me, also because, like I said, something I never really kind of aspired to do, but was able to do, and so I think the sense of gratification that I got from completing, from actually doing it, finishing it, feeling like that, I was able to do something that I never thought I would accomplish. And so as far as that being an accomplishment for me, I think that was, of some of the things I've done, I think that's been one of the biggest achievements for me, because it was nothing that I really ever set out to do. So to actually be able to do it, start to finish, to actually be able to get it out here, for it actually to see dividends from it.
Wow.
In terms of, like I said, not even in terms of sales, but people getting books.
Exposure.
The like I said, the primarily the connection with Davidoff in part came from the book. So things like that have happened from the book. And so I think that for me has been one of the biggest impacts.
Has there been a moment on this journey, like one particular moment where you took a step back and had to pinch yourself to be like, I can't believe this is happening?
Yeah, I would say the Davidoff.
Wow.
The Davidoff event for sure, because, to me, I've done some things and I've been able to create a brand. I've been able to create an identity for myself. I've been able to write a book. I've been able to go around and meet a lot of great people in regards to the cigar culture. But the opportunity with Davidoff, for me, was just kind of like something, it was a big moment for me. For a brand like that and it was nothing that I ever sought out. They reached out to me. They came to me with that. So in not even having an idea, anything like that would come my way, there it came. And so, when a company like that calls you up and say, hey, we would like to go on a 24-city tour with you as the headline, and actually getting out here and city to city and going to the lounges and meeting the people and doing this, other than the book, I think it's been the biggest moment out of this journey that I can speak of. Because so many memories have been made from that. So many great connections with the people, with Davidoff, with people at their lounges and across the U.S. It's just, who would ever thought that, I would be able to go out and do something like that.
Man, we've been friends for 38 years.
Man.
38 years,
wow.
Bro. Since I was 15, you was 14.
Yeah.
And there's not many friends, there's not many people in my life who I give that title to. Like, really give that title to.
Right.
Like, dude, there's probably no more than 5.
Right.
Right? I have friends.
I feel you.
But when you put people in that category, literally of best friends.
Right.
Like them the ones like, like you ain't coming to my life when I was Rob the executive. It was like, I knew he was Dirt and Junie. Right?
Right.
And then, when I was in some of my hardest moments, I would call and just talk to you, man. And then when I needed to celebrate, you told me, here's how you do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna put this in the universe, man. I hope God blesses us the opportunity and we can open up the Hat Ambassador Cigar Lounge.
Yeah, that would
like
be awesome.
That is a dream of mine. I've told you that like a couple years ago. Like I'm serious. That's my dream, bro. Like, and to see your brand, your logo on top of it, bro. I just want to sit back when we talk about that one moment in life.
Right.
Me finishing my autobiography was one.
Right, of course, yeah.
Getting married, seeing both my daughters graduate. But I think the next one is when I be able to walk and stand outside the shop.
Right.
And stand next to you and be like, bro.
At the ribbon cutting.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, yo, listen, I'm just here.
Yeah.
This is the culmination of your journey. Because, dude, your brand is impeccable, style. And before I go and I shut off, I got to say this. They talk about the Silver Fox Club, right? Those brothers who dress fly.
Right.
And some good-looking brothers, right? You take away their beard, they just brothers in suits.
Yeah.
But your style, bro, y'all need him? Or, bro, we need to go figure out how to create a club of your own. Because, hey, I'm telling you, bro, I'm a fan. I'm a best friend, but I'm a fan. And dude, it took me 4 months to get this podcast.
I'm glad we was able to do it.
And we'll shoot a couple more, man. In the next couple of weeks, I'll come back. But dude, this was so worth it. So now, before we go, how can people get a hold of you? How can people find your accessories? How can people get the book?
Easy. So to find me, you can find me on Instagram at Hat Ambassador.
Okay.
All of my hat pins, accessories are available at hatsandcigars.com.
So you'll see that. I'm going to drop the link here.
Hatsandcigars.com. The book is available on Amazon.com. You can search Hats and Cigars.
Okay.
And find the book on Amazon. And if we are about to go, I can't leave without first letting everybody know my motto is keep a cigar in your grip, a drink at your lips,
Woo!
And a hat for your fit. It's Hats and Cigars, baby. That's how we do it.
Ah! Hey, listen, I just want to thank y'all for joining. I'm going to switch to this camera here. And it really has been a pleasure doing this podcast with my boy, Mike Brown, a.k.a. the Hat Ambassador. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you need tips on your fit or what you sip or anything else, he's the man. He hooks me up, I'm telling you, but I ain't got his style. But listen, take care. I'll see y'all in the next episode of the In His Voice podcast. Peace. We out.